गुड आफ्टरनून एवरीवन। द टॉपिक आज जो हम पढ़ने जा रहे हैं उस टॉपिक का नाम है जनरल ऑर्गेनिक केमिस्ट्री। सो पहले तो समझते हैं कि ऑर्गेनिक केमिस्ट्री क्या है। ऑर्गेनिक केमिस्ट्री इज नथिंग बट द ब्रांच ऑफ केमिस्ट्री दैट डील्स विद द organic compounds, and organic compounds are nothing but the hydrides of carbon. Organic compounds are nothing but the hydrides of carbon, or you can say they are nothing but the hydrocarbons. They are nothing but the hydrocarbons and their derivatives. So organic chemistry is nothing but it is the branch of chemistry that deals with the hydrocarbons and their derivatives, or the branch of chemistry that deals with the organic compounds. But back in 1818 it was not known. So according to Berzelius, organic compounds were limited to only those compounds which are present inside the body of living organisms, or they are derived from the living organisms. That was the definition of organic compounds. And the branch of science that deals with the organic compounds is known as the organic chemistry. So, and he named this theory as the vital force theory, according to which organic chemistry is the branch of chemistry that deals with the organic compounds which are derived from the living organisms. So, vital force theory clearly states that the organic compounds are derived from the living organisms only. But according to the scientist named Wohler, this was wrong. And what he did was he carried out the reaction of ammonium sulfate, ammonium sulfate, ammonium sulfate, ammonium sulfate with 2 moles of potassium cyanate. 2 moles of potassium cyanate. And what he got was ammonium cyanate, which after heating got converted to this compound, which is nothing but urea. Now therefore the urea was nothing but the first compound, first organic compound, first organic compound, first organic compound which was synthesized inside the lab. First organic compound which was synthesized in the lab, and this was nothing but this was the death blow. This was the death blow to the this was the death blow to the vital force theory, because whatever the assumptions of the vital force theory were ruled out by this discovery of the scientist Wohler. According to him, organic compounds are not just limited to the living organisms, but they can be independently synthesized inside the laboratory, and that is when the vital force theory was ruled out. Now let us try to understand why the organic compounds are present in such a large number. If you compare the organic compounds with that of inorganic compounds, you will see inorganic compounds are not present in the very huge number as like organic compounds. And not just that, the organic compounds are even today prepared in a very large number, and this is basic because of the two facts. Number one is nothing but the catenation power of carbon, and number two, tetravalency and small size of the carbon atom. Now let us first try to understand what is catenation power. Catenation power is nothing but it is the ability of carbon atom to undergo self combination. That is, carbon atom can combine with carbon atom, and it can form long chain of carbon compounds. It can form long chain of carbon compounds. The next thing that is important when you talk about carbon is that carbon is tetravalent. Therefore, it can form bond with 4 other carbon atoms. It can form triple bond with another carbon atom. It can form double bond with another carbon atom. Not just that, carbon is able to form single bond with another carbon atom, like oxygen, double bond with oxygen. It can form double bond with nitrogen. It can bond single bond with nitrogen, like that. So, and again, because of the small size of the carbon atom, these compounds are having exceptional stability, and that is what makes these compounds very, very, very stable. Now let us try to understand the characteristic properties of the organic compounds. What are the characteristic properties of the organic compounds? Organic compounds contains are nothing but the hydrocarbons along with some heteroatoms like phosphorus, sulfur, chlorine, fluorine, bromine, iodine, nitrogen. Okay, and they are derived from the living organisms. Organic compounds are derived from the living organism. This is nothing but the characteristic property of the organic compounds. Organic compounds are formed in all the three states, that is gases, liquids, and solids. The other characteristic property of the organic compound is that they are low boiling and they are having low melting points, and that is because of the covalent nature of the carbon compounds. That is because of the covalent nature of the carbon carbon single bond. Because of the covalent nature of carbon carbon single bond, it is found that they are low boiling and melting, and because of the same reason organic compounds are most of the time volatile in nature. Organic compounds are what? They are volatile in nature, and most of the petroleum products you can see they are inflammable in nature. And the next property of the organic compound is that they do not conduct electricity. The primary requisite for organic compound to conduct the electricity is that they need to they need to have free electrons like the metal atoms. They need to have free electrons as like the metals, but unlike the metals, organic compounds do not contain the free electrons which can carry electricity from one end to the other end, from one end to the other end. That is the reason why organic compounds are bad conductor of electricity and they do not conduct the electricity. Organic compounds also possess the distinct color and odor. You can distinguish very easily organic compounds from one to the other. For example, if you take the acetic acid, it is having some particular smell by which you can distinguish acetic acid from the rest of the compounds. Okay, now let us try to understand the different ways to represent the organic compounds. There are different ways we can, if the compound is complex in nature, you cannot write the complete formula, so scientists discovered another method which is nothing but the condensed formula. If the compound is even complex and it is very difficult to express the compound by the condensed formula, then there is another method which is known as the bond line formula method, by which you can represent the organic compound. Let us try to understand the each method one by one. The complete formula gives you the complete picture of the every atom present in that structure as well as the every bond present there. For example, if I want to represent N-butane by complete formula, I would represent it something like this. I will represent every carbon present out there, and I will also represent every hydrogen atom which is present over there. Okay, and I will not just that, I will also represent every bond present in between carbon and hydrogen. I will represent every bond which is present over there between hydrogen and carbon. The next method that is there to represent the organic compound is nothing but the condensed formula. In condensed formula, what we do, we neglect the bonds. We just write number of atoms present over there. Okay, so this is nothing but the condensed formula. But sometimes the structures are so complex that it is very difficult to represent every atom present there. So what we do is that we assume that the hydrogen atoms are present, and we just write carbon atoms present and the heteroatoms that are present over there. For example, if I want to write N-butane, I would represent it something like this in bond line formula, where these N and corners represent the carbon atoms, and these are nothing but the bonds. Okay, so this is nothing but the N-butane in bond line formula. If I want to write butanol, in that case I will have to mention the hydroxyl group. This cannot be ignored. The hydrogens are assumed to be present there because this hydrogen is just attached to one carbon, so rest of the three valences will be satisfied by three hydrogens. So there are three hydrogens present over here, there are two hydrogens present over at this carbon. There also there are two carbon. Since this is the secondary carbon, there are only two hydrogens present over here, and at this carbon there are three hydrogens present there. Okay, now let's move on to the next concept, three-dimensional representation of organic compounds. So the organic compounds, most of the time the carbon is what? It is sp3 hybridized. If you consider the alkanes, the carbon is sp3 hybridized. And sp3 hybridization, we know that the shape of that molecule is supposed to be, it is supposed to be tetrahedral. It is supposed to be tetrahedral in shape. It is tetrahedral in shape. Okay, so what happens if you want to represent that molecule in the two-dimensional space? If you want to get the clear picture of the actual molecule, it will not be possible on the two-dimensional surface. So we have to make some assumptions, some conventions, so that we get the actual picture of the molecule. Here, if you look at the structure of this methane molecule, you can clearly see that this carbon, this hydrogen and this hydrogen, they are in one plane, because this plane line indicates they are in the plane of paper. This these two these two bonds are in one plane. However, this wedged, this is dashed wedge, represents that this hydrogen is moving away from the plane of paper. However, the solid wedge represents, hydrogen represents, this is coming towards the observer. If you imagine observer is present over here, so that this dash wedge is something that is going away from the observer. However, this hydrogen, which is represented by solid wedge, indicates that this hydrogen is this hydrogen is this bond is coming towards the observer. Okay, thank you.